Hello, my friends. I'm glad you're back with me for another one of our Washington Bites, a series of hopefully very brief expositions of key issues that affect you and me that the Congress is dealing with, or hopefully dealing with, here in Washington. This week we had the very sad and troubling development by the European Union, the EU, contemporaneously, sadly, with Tisha B'Av, the holiday, or that is to say the day of remembrance on the Jewish calendar of all the catastrophes that have happened in Jewish history, including the destruction of the temples in Jerusalem each time, that are reported to have occurred on this date in the Jewish calendar. But getting to what the Europeans did in an ironic kind of inadvertent observance of this holiday, they said that they're not going to deal with any companies, institutions, universities, or other organizations that have operations or installations in the historic areas of Israel that are contested by the Palestinian Arabs and the other Arabs of the Middle East. In other words, those areas that are called Judea and Samaria historically, or the West Bank since 1948, and also the areas of Jerusalem that are contested, the Old City and the new areas of the city, and the Golan Heights. So any Israeli organization that has operations in those areas, and most do, would be barred from receiving any cooperation or grants or assistance from the EU. For example, grants to universities like the Ariel University in Samaria. This was a terrible, discriminatory, and I believe anti-Semitic act. And if someone says that they are in favor of Israel and the Palestinian Arabs negotiating a peace treaty, this is another bar, another hindrance to such negotiations, not really a help to the Israelis and the Arabs getting together to form peace agreements. So what do we propose? We propose not more rhetoric, not more declarations by the Congress, but some real actions, what we would call bottom line, or in Yiddish they say tachlis. We need to have the Congress do something which shows the European Union and the nations that comprise the European Union that we're serious about this, and there are consequences to such really unconscionable actions. So I propose that in the appropriations bills that are coming to the floor of the House and the Senate in the months ahead that must be passed to enable the continuation of the government after September 30th of this year, in other words, for the new fiscal year 2014, I believe that there should be language put in those bills to the effect that no funds may be obligated or spent by any office of the executive branch for the negotiation of or the implementation of trade agreements with Europe or the nations thereof, or any other nations which exercise such discriminatory behavior against Israel. And in addition, to raise this another notch, to crank it up a bit, I even believe that the Congress should consider putting similar language into the defense appropriations bill, saying that the U.S. will not contribute its annual sum, which is immense, to the continuation of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, for the defense of Europe, if Europe and the nations thereof act in such a discriminatory way against Israel, which in fact, although no one has said it yet, this kind of discrimination has an effect on Israel's national security, and it has an effect on the U.S. national security. And so I believe that we should not be putting 70 or 80 billion dollars into NATO if the nations of NATO are discriminating against Israel. So go to our website, you'll see the action that we're proposing. It sounds very strong, it sounds very stiff, it sounds very declarative against Europe. But I want the European nations to understand that actions have consequences. And if they're going to discriminate against Israel, America is not going to just wave its hand or blink and pretend that nothing has happened. So go to our website, take your actions, send your emails to your senators and representatives, and I am going to tell you, we are going to get the attention of Europe, and they're going to change this policy. So help me. God bless you. See you next week. Thanks very much.